The rivalry between Finland's Pohjanmaa-class corvette and Sweden's Visby-class corvette is not a simple contest of which ship is more modern or more capable. It reflects two contrasting philosophies of naval warfare in the Baltic and Arctic theaters, two industrial traditions, and two different assessments of how best to survive and fight in one of the world's most challenging maritime environments. Understanding this comparison requires more than listing specifications. It requires examining strategy, design trade-offs, and how each ship fits into a wider Nordic and NATO network. Finland designed the Pohjanmaa as its largest and most ambitious surface combatant in a century. At more than 110 meters long and displacing around 3,500 to 4,000 tons at full load, it is closer to a light frigate than a traditional corvette. It is heavily built to survive ice conditions, equipped with advanced radar, a combat management system, and space for vertical launch cells capable of housing ESSM Block 2. Its primary missions include sea denial through mine-laying, providing area air defense for Finnish naval task groups, anti-submarine warfare with hull and towed sonar, and long-range strike with the Gabriel V anti-ship missile. It is designed to fight, survive, and command in the Baltic and potentially into the Arctic, where ice, long endurance, and the ability to coordinate across domains are critical. By contrast, Sweden's Visby is a radically different vessel. At just over 72 meters and displacing only about 650 to 730 tons, it is among the smallest surface combatants in NATO to be considered a corvette. Its defining feature is stealth. Constructed of a carbon fiber composite, it has extremely low radar, acoustic, and infrared signatures. Visby is built for speed, sprinting at over 35 knots, and for ambushing enemy ships in the littorals before retreating. Its main armament centers on the RBS-15 Mk3 or Mk4 anti-ship missile, giving it a long reach against surface targets and even limited land attack potential. While it lacks vertical launch cells for area air defense, it compensates with low observability, electronic warfare, and integration with Sweden's broader air defense network. The specifications highlight the divergence. Pohjanmaa carries the potential for layered air defense with VLS, heavier sensors, and a broader mission set. Visby emphasizes stealth, speed, and ambush tactics. Both use Saab's 9LV combat management system, Sea Giraffe radar variants, and Siros fire control, reflecting the shared industrial base. But the balance of weight, crew size, and survivability leans heavily in different directions. Finland opted for a node that can command and coordinate, while Sweden chose a knife fighter optimized for the narrow seas and island chains of the Baltic. The design philosophies stem from geography and doctrine. Finland, with its long coastline and tradition of defensive mine warfare, needs ships that can endure in ice, fight in multiple roles, and integrate with land-based air defense. The Pohjanmaa becomes a mobile command center, enabling coordination between coastal missile batteries, F-35s, and NATO allies. Sweden, by contrast, has historically emphasized independent, rapid naval operations from dispersed bases. Its Visby corvettes rely on stealth and speed to survive, hitting harder targets and disappearing before retaliation. In terms of sensors and integration, both ships reflect the Nordic push for networked warfare. Pohjanmaa's radar suite, built around AESA multifunction systems, will allow tracking of multiple air targets and integration with systems like Patriot and NASAMS. Visby, though carrying older Sea Giraffe AMB radars, benefits from its low signature and ability to share targeting data with Gripen fighters and GlobalEye airborne early warning aircraft. In both cases, the ships are not intended to operate alone, but as part of a sensor-to-shooter grid, where a target detected by one platform can be engaged by another. The difference is most visible in air defense. Pohjanmaa-'s inclusion of Mark 41 launchers and the plan to deploy ESSM Block 2 suggests a role in creating a protective bubble for Finnish naval groups. This is a step change for Finland, giving it a real area air defense capability at sea. Visby, on the other hand, lacks VLS. Its survival depends on stealth, maneuver, and the broader Swedish air defense architecture. Critics argue this leaves Visby vulnerable to modern drones, loitering munitions, or saturation attacks. But Sweden calculates that its corvettes will never operate unsupported, and that stealth remains a powerful form of defense. In the anti-ship mission, the Rivalry is tighter. Gabriel 5 is modern, resistant to electronic countermeasures, and optimized for sea-skimming approaches. The RBS-15 Mark III and Mark IV are combat-proven, long-ranged, and capable of land attack. Both missiles make the corvettes dangerous to larger ships in the confined waters of the Baltic. In anti-submarine warfare, each carries lightweight torpedoes and sonar, but neither is a dedicated ASW frigate. Instead, their role is to complement land-based and aerial assets. Finland's advantage lies in its ability to deploy naval mines from the Pohjanmaa, continuing a national tradition of sea denial that has shaped its doctrine for a century. When placed into scenarios, the complementarity is clear. In a crisis around the Åland Islands, Pohjanmaa could act as a command node, laying minefields and providing area air defense while coordinating coastal missile batteries. Visby could penetrate closer to enemy formations using stealth to launch RBS-15 strikes and retreat before detection. In a Gotland defense scenario, Visby would provide forward screening and ambush, while Pohjanmaa would link into NATO air defense to secure sea lanes. In an Arctic convoy escort, Pohjanmaa's ice-strengthened hull and endurance would be crucial, while Visby would play little role outside the southern Baltic. Both designs face risks. Pohjanmaa's costs and complexity raise concerns about delays and integration challenges. The heavy reliance on VLS makes it a high-value target, and defending against swarming drones or unmanned surface craft will require new systems. Visby's lack of vertical launchers limits its growth potential and forces it to rely on stealth in an era where drones and AI-enabled sensors may erode that advantage. Both navies are aware of these risks and are planning upgrades and mid-life improvements. Industrial and political factors also matter. Both Finland and Sweden rely heavily on Saab for sensors, combat systems, and integration, which creates interoperability but also dependence. The Pohjanmaa is being built in Finland's Rauma shipyard, while Visby originated from Kockums. The shared supply chain allows for future collaboration and possibly a convergence toward a Nordic standard corvette in the 2030s, though politics and budgets will ultimately decide. Strategically, the Rivalry is more of a dual track than a zero-sum game. The ships are optimized for different missions, and in practice, they are complementary. A future Nordic naval shield could see Pohjanmaa provide command, mines, and area defense, while Visby delivers stealth strikes and rapid response. Integrated with F-35s, Gripens, NASAMs, and GlobalEye, the result is a multi-layered deterrent network across the Baltic and Arctic. The lesson of this comparison is not that one ship is superior. It is that two nations facing the same adversary and geography have chosen different answers to the same question of survival. Finland built resilience and command. Sweden built stealth and speed. Together they form two halves of a credible deterrent posture in Northern Europe. And as NATO integration deepens, the rivalry between Pohjanmaa and Visby may become less about competition and more about complementarity. This is what makes the Pohjanmaa versus Visby comparison so compelling. It is not a duel of equals, nor is it a mismatch. It is the story of how small states innovate to hold the line against larger powers, how industry adapts to geography, and how in the 21st century, a corvette can still embody national strategy. The future of Nordic naval power may not rest on one ship class alone, but on the balance between these two very different corvettes, working together under a common flag of defense.